Hello again, and welcome to today's edition of the Redneck Fly Fisherman. Today we're going to be tying a hare's mask nymph, hare's ear nymph, whatever you like to call it. The hair comes off the same part of the rabbit. Today we're going to be using a number 18 down eye straight hook. Get this right. 72D or 8/0 olive thread. I'll be using pheasant tail for the tail fibers, and of course hare's mask for the body, and Anton dubbing for, or hare's mask for the thorax, and Anton dubbing for the body, and turkey tail for the wing case. Today we're going to tie it in a chartreuse. This little fly is a simple fly. I like to call this my 5-minute fly. It's going to take me a little longer than 5 minutes this time because I'm going to try to explain and go over a few things while we're doing it. We're also going to use a small size chartreuse wire. So we'll get started, cover a few things. These little simple flies I really like to tie and I really like to use. One thing, there's exactly what we said, simple. Not a whole lot of material, doesn't take a lot of time, and you get them done fast. So you can tie a lot of flies quick. If you fish where I fish and you fish like I fish, you lose a lot of flies. It's good to have a bunch. This is one of my little staple flies. I always keep several of these in my fly box in several different colors and sizes. This is an 18. I'll tie them the smallest I can go with my fat nubby fingers is with about a 20. And I'll tie them in a larger to 16. You can use several different color configurations. Beadhead, not beadhead. This is a beadhead. One thing I forgot to say. And this is a 1/16 inch tungsten bead. I've got about probably 5 or 6 nymphs that I like to keep in my box at all times. I do keep a couple of complex. I'm not totally anal on complex flies, but I just don't like spending a whole lot of time tying flies. Not one fly. I don't want to put 15-20 minutes in a fly just to hang up and lose it. So I try to stay simple. There's about a half a dozen, 6 or 7 nymph flies that you'll tie that will work anywhere, any time of year, and you'll catch fish. Now there are a few complex flies that'll work when nothing else does. So you just have to decide whether you're going to spend time tying them, keeping them in your box, being careful not to lose too many of them. Another staple I like to keep in my box are sandworm worms and egg patterns. Those are 2 flies, if you'll call them, that will catch fish probably 80% of the time. They won't always catch fish, but the nice thing about them, they make good attractors. Even when you can't catch fish with them and the fish just don't want them, they'll come in for a look a lot of times. When they see that worm float by or they see that egg, just gets their attention, they'll come in and maybe they'll pick up one of your flies that they like. And you'll get them in your net, have a Kodak moment, and good to go. So we'll get started here. We're going to take about 7 or so strands of our pheasant tail. Now the other nice thing about these beadhead flies is you can get your thread. You usually start your thread all the way at the front end of the hook, right at the eye. You don't have to worry about crowding the eye because you got your bead up there anyway. So we'll take I'll take these things, I like to hold them out kind of straight, get them even, pull them off. Now if you're like me and you got fat nubby fingers, a little difficult holding your material on, I'll tuck it up underneath the hook a little bit, take a loose wrap, and then we'll kind of pull it and walk it back to the back of the hook, and then we'll take another loose wrap, and we'll shorten that up to about, the length of it will be about a little more than the width of your hook, not much, and we'll wrap her down. And when you're wrapping, you try to stack your thread real good right on that, and it'll keep your tail feathers up on top of the hook, keep from winding it around and twisting it all around it looking crazy. So we'll take our chartreuse wire. What I like to do with this is to kind of tuck it up underneath the bead, take a loose wrap and tighten it down, and then that just holds it in place. Now you don't have to stack your thread here because we're going to be covering this whole thing up with a lot of dubbing and different things, so just get it down to the tail. And we'll take us some light olive Anton dubbing. We're using this Anton because we want a little bit of sparkle and shine in this one here, just because that's what we're tying with this chartreuse. You don't always have to use it. You can use regular dubbing, you can use several different things, but today we're going to use Anton. And the Anton, nice thing about it with this fly, you want it kind of fluffy anyway, so the Anton doesn't go on your line real tight anyhow. So we'll take and pull it up. I think we got a wrap on the hook. We'll trim that off a little bit. We'll just tie this on. And it's alright, we're kind of fluffed out. We'll tighten that up here. So as we bring our wire around and make our rib, it'll be a little less than a 1/16 of an inch between the rib, and as you do that, it kind of pulls the dubbing down a little tighter. Like I said, you don't want it too tight, you want a little bit of bugginess about it. So we'll come around here and we'll take a tight wrap on our wire and another tight wrap, and then we'll come behind it and lock it down. We'll helicopter this baby off. I like to take my thumbnail and my forefinger and just kind of straighten this back out for the next fly. Put it down. We're going to get about 5 or 6 strands of our turkey tail feather. Pull that off. And we'll take a loose wrap on here. My finger, a little fat. Walk that back up. Pull her down tight. And we'll come behind it and lock it down. And we'll trim it off. We'll get us some hare's mask. What I like to do with this hare's mask, I hope I didn't already say this, but what a lot of people do is take this hare's mask and they'll cut it, put it in a little small Ziploc, like the hooks come in sometimes, and get one of those aerosol air cans that you blow your computer keyboards off with a lot of times, with a little straw, and they'll stick that straw in there, close the bag up a little bit and blow it in there a little bit and kind of fluff that stuff and makes it real good. Works fine. But then you have to get wax your string and get it to stick on. To get away from using wax and getting it all over your fingers all the time, what I'll do is I'll take some super fine dubbing and get a wad of it and kind of stretch it out, and I'll get a big wad of the hare's mask hair, and I'll mix them together, and I'll just take them, kind of work them together like this, pulling everything apart and stretching it and tucking it back in and twisting it around and rolling it around, and that just gives your hare's mask fibers something to stick to. We'll pull some of those off, and we'll wrap that around our thread without having to have any wax. Come up here, and we'll go ahead and wrap. Get our Here's the mask all wrapped nice and round. As you can see, it sticks nice. We'll fold our wing case over. Take one wrap and another tight wrap, and then we'll come behind it and lock it down. We'll trim this off nice and close. Get our whip finishing tool. And we'll take about 3 wraps. Pop that down. We'll do that one more time. Say keeping. And roll the thread back up. Rip that off. And I'm going to come in here and got a couple little legs. I'm kind of anal about this. I like to trim them up just a little bit. I don't want it sticking out too far, but you want it out a little bit. Don't do that without your hand being in front, because then you'll blow all your material all over the place. So there you have it. Here's your nymph, chartreuse, beadhead. This little chartreuse one here worked real well for me in Wyoming in the springtime. For some reason the fish just like green in the spring. We fished several different colors, several different things. When we went to green, we just started hammering them. So, nice little fly, very simple. Takes you about 4 or 5 minutes to tie one. Another little thing that I like to do when I'm tying my flies, I like to tie them in dozens most of the time. So I'll get a dozen hooks out. If I'm doing a beadhead, I'll get a dozen beads out. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put all my beads on my hook before I get started. That way you don't have to stop and do it again, stop, do it again. Just seems to make it faster for me. You know, I usually do at least 1, maybe 2 colors. I'll split them up sometimes, but I like to do just 1 color, and I'll make a dozen of another color and a dozen of another color, and I may change sizes and stuff and kind of stick with one for a few days until I get me a good batch of them made up. Then I'll go to another one. But here it is. Simple fly, productive fly. Good luck, tight lines, roll tide.